I really want to share with you guys a lot more tools that you can use to really get clear on how you're going to show up in the world, right? How you're going to show up. What are you going to say? How are you going to say it? Um, how do you kind of suss out all of the things that you do and the impact that you make? And how do you speak to your ideal client? So we're going to go over a couple tools today that I think are going to be extremely useful when you're trying to really get clear on that, because you can't create marketing until you're clear on that foundation first. So let's dive into that today. Okay, so when I sit down with my clients in a brand strategy session, what are we trying to do there? Really, what we're trying to do is really get clear on who they are, what they do, who they help, and why it matters. Because when you're the owner of a business, all of that is there in your head, but it's swimming around and it's kind of murky and muddy. And so we get it all out on the table. We start organizing it. We start to see how things fit together. And we do this in order to craft a meaningful perception that you can use to connect with your ideal client. So today I'll be covering two frameworks. And these are two frameworks that I use in my brand strategy workshops. So these are tools that are part of the what you do pillar, right? So these help my clients understand their business offerings and communicate them effectively to their customers. And by the end of this video, what I'm hoping is that you'll have new ways of looking at your offerings that highlight the impact that your business makes, and you'll better understand how to clearly communicate that to your audience. So I thought about this recently because I was contacted by a client about her branding, and she really needed a logo and an identity. But more importantly, she was struggling with her messaging. And she knew exactly what she wanted to offer in her business, but she wasn't exactly sure how she should present that to her audience, right? She wasn't sure how to communicate that offer and the value behind it. So we sat down and worked through some foundational strategy to get really clear about her ideal client. And let me tell you, once we did that, everything shifted. So your customers aren't just buying your products, right? They aren't buying your products and services. I know you think they are, but they're not. And hear me out on this. So when we buy something, there's usually a need preceding or driving that purchase, right? So for example, let's say you have a headache. It's not just an annoyance, it's making it hard to work on your computer, right? It's making it hard to look at the screen and to focus. And you need relief, so you buy painkillers, right? Advil, Tylenol, whatever it is, acetaminophen. So this purchase is motivated by the need to get rid of the headache so that you can get back to work and you can work comfortably and you can focus. But not all needs are as straightforward as a headache, right? So some are more complex and harder to identify right away. For instance, consider someone who subscribes to a meal plan or a meal delivery service. On the surface, it might seem like they just want food delivered so they can save themselves time, right? But in reality, their need might also be about eating healthier and maybe reducing stress and overwhelm, or just plain taking better care of themselves, right? So there's more needs below the surface need. So what people are really buying are solutions to practical, emotional, and sometimes deeply personal problems. But here's the thing, when you understand what's motivating your customers to seek your help, you can craft messaging that connects with them on a genuine level, meeting them exactly where they're at in their lives. So that's why today I thought I'd share some insights from the tools I use to help my clients understand not just what they do, but why it matters and the real impact that they're making. So we're going to dive into more pyramids today. Yes, I know. Pyramids are the greatest way to explain everything. So let's start with the first pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you've ever taken a psychology class, you might remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it's that pyramid that breaks down human motivations. And it starts at the bottom from the basic needs, like we need food and safety. And then it moves all the way up to the top of the pyramid. And at the top of the pyramid, we have fulfillment and purpose. And there's places in between that as well. But here's the cool part. In business, this is a practical tool we can use to understand what our customers need and where they're at in their life. And by recognizing what level your customers are operating from, whether they need security, connection, a sense of belonging, or a sense of accomplishment, you get a clear picture of where your products and services fit in their lives and why they would be motivated to look for answers to their problems, right? So here's another important thing. Understanding where your customers are on this pyramid also helps you explore the kind of impact that your product or service is having in their lives. And this is where you can use this data to make improvements in your products or services to better meet their needs. So are you helping them feel more secure, more connected, more fulfilled? These might be areas that you can, areas of value that you can add to your products and services. So the answers to these questions can take your messaging from just informative, right, to showing your customer that you get them, right? And you have real value to offer them. So let's dive into this pyramid a little more. Let's first look at your customer. And if you haven't identified who that is yet, go back and watch my video I sent out last September on how to use the Golden Customer Map. So putting time into creating a customer profile is super helpful for this. So first, think about your customers. Are they mainly concerned about health and safety, like maybe their families with young kids, or are they looking for connection? Maybe they're young adults wanting to be part of a yoga community. So figure out the problem that they are trying to solve in their life right now. And let's make this a little more practical using the example of a meal planning service. So when your customers pay for a meal planning service, they are not just paying for groceries or grocery lists and recipes, right? They might also be looking for convenience because they're overwhelmed by a busy schedule. See, so they're overwhelmed. There's a deeper need there. Maybe they're trying to improve their diet without the stress of figuring it all out themselves. Maybe it's about wanting to provide healthier meals for their families so they feel like they're making the best possible choices for them. Maybe there's a sense of control there. But now you can see that the real need goes deeper than just getting meal plans, right? It's about saving time, reducing stress, or feeling in control of their health. And when you understand these underlying needs, you can begin to communicate your real value to them. And because your customer may have more than one need, challenge, or even an aspiration, not all of these needs are problematic or issues. They might be aspiring to do something. It's helpful to identify all the things that could motivate them. So this is where I like to use another tool called the Elements of Value Pyramid. And I use this to identify all the different levels of value that your product or service provides them. So I'm not going to go into super detail about the elements of value because I did a whole blog post on it that I'll link in the email so that you can understand this tool better and you can read through all of the levels. But essentially, this tool was developed by the global management consulting firm Bain & Company to identify the elements that customers value when making purchasing decisions. And it looks very similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But here's the cool part about this pyramid. What the data revealed when they were doing the research to develop this framework is that the more elements that a product or service fulfilled, and the higher up on the pyramid those fulfilled elements were, the more value a business provided. And consequently, the more attractive the product or service became. But also, the more loyal customers were to the brand. So when you look at the elements of value pyramid, circle all the elements that your product or service provides to identify the value that it ultimately delivers. And then look closely at that pyramid. It'll show you all the gaps, right? Where can you add more value in order to better serve your customers? Does your product save them time? Does it reduce anxiety? So the elements of value framework can show you where you can add those layers of impact to your offering and thus creating more value for your customer. So I'll link in the email, I'll include a link in the email to download the Elements of Value worksheet, and it'll include both B2C and B2B business pyramids in there because they're two different pyramids. Very similar, but there's a little different nuance between the B2B and the B2C. But you can use that tool yourself. If you download it, you can look at it and see how it works. So now that we've covered these two tools, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the Elements of Value pyramid, let's wrap it up with just a few more practical uses. So for your messaging, use these tools to understand what really matters to your audience and whether it's reducing stress, providing a sense of connection or belonging, or achieving something meaningful. And you might need to interview current clients, or it's possible you might need to be guessing at this phase. But that's okay. It's important to think about these things. And as you move through your business and as your business evolves, you can get more feedback from your customers to really kind of understand their underlying needs. So when you're using this pyramid and you're really identifying these needs, you're going to want to speak directly to these motivations and use empathetic language to reassure them that you understand where they're coming from, where they're at. You get them, right? So also for future decisions, use these insights to refine your offerings. Ask yourself, where can you add more value? Could you make things easier? Can you save them time? Can you help your customers feel more connected? And each of these choices strengthens your impact. It creates more value and ultimately builds deeper loyalty. So really, we all want to do more than just offer products and services with features and benefits, right? Show your customers that you get them, that you understand them, and meet them where they are in their lives right now. And when you do this, you create real impact and you attract the loyal community that your brand deserves. So hopefully all that made sense. If you ever need anything, feel free to reach out if you have any questions, or if you want me to talk about anything more specifically in these videos, reach out, just let me know. Shoot me an email.